WTUG HD2 Northport and W265CG Tuscaloosa, a Town Square media station.
One man to beat, you can forget about it. Touchdown, Alabama.
Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 HD2 Northport and W265CG Tuscaloosa. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Alabama 1st and 10 on the 12. Again, Houston. He's got a hole. He's over. Alabama touchdown.
I'm just wondering if your listeners know how good a football player you were. I can still see you playing that fullback, knocking those players out of the way. And that, I believe I could have run behind you.
Martin, I can remember when we came to summer and you were playing fullback up there, and I saw you in the weight room and watched you work out in the weight room. If you could you were strong enough to pick up the whole weight room. I wanted to pitch it, and our running back coach didn't take the pass. Biggest mistake we ever made.
The Martin Houston Show with national championship winning fullback Martin Houston, giving you 1 hour of intense, hard-hitting analysis from an insider's perspective. It's time for the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports, Tide 100.9, and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Good morning. Welcome into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier on Tide 100.9 on your radio dial. Also, you can catch us on our live stream at Martin Houston 35 XNL Sports, amongst other outlets. We are so glad that you've chosen to be a part of the show with us. Like, follow, share, and support the live stream. All you have to do is click the QR code. And it'll take you to a donation opportunity to support the live stream. But more importantly, like, follow, share, tell your family and friends what we got going on. It is a beautiful, beautiful morning. We're glad to have you with us. And I want to invite you to get in on the conversation at 205-342-9904, 205-342-9904. That's the Alabama One hotline. And you are always welcome to get in that way, as well as join us on chat. And we'll incorporate your thoughts, your comments, your questions into the program. Remember that this is the day that the Lord has made, so let's rejoice and be glad in it. Take some time today to notice someone, love someone, serve someone, be the difference you want to see in the world today. Good morning, X. How you doing, sir?
Good morning. Doing well. How are you?
Good. Glad to have you back with us, and we'll keep things moving right along this morning. You and I missed out on talking about the Jalen Hurts contract because we both, were soloing it. But I put a post up yesterday because everybody is talking about Jalen Hurts and him following the process. So I went back and just went through his social media account and showed that some other people other than Coach Saban in the process deserves that credit for what Jalen Hurts was able to do and maintain, and that's his parents for raising him as a man of faith, and then him for walking out his faith. So I give a shout out to Jalen Hurts and his Mr. and Mrs. Hurts and his faith in Jesus as the reason he did, because nobody realizes that he put up John 13:7 X as his immediate response virtually to to him being benched, and it is such a powerful thought, and even more powerful. I tell you, even more powerful when you look at it in retrospect. What he said, and he said, Jesus replied, "You do not realize now what I am doing, but later you will understand." And you look at Jalen's contract. Does Jalen Hurts get to this point without being benched?
I mean, potentially. just because of his work ethic and his faith. But
I don't think so, because I think I think. Let me tell you why. Let me tell you why. Without being benched, he doesn't learn from Enos because he's playing. I think Jalen Hurts did it in reverse. Most young quarterbacks get to watch and learn a game and coached up. Who did Jalen Hurts talk to X when he came off the field?
his first couple years,
Yeah, Blake Barnett, Cooper Bateman. Who coached Jalen up between you know what I mean? Like it's so powerful to see what's happening. But go ahead and finish your thought.
well, I mean, yeah, I guess I see where you're coming from because Lane Kiffin is great at designing systems around a quarterback's strengths, but I'm not so sure he's actually a developer of quarterbacks. He just knows how to utilize their strengths. That I don't know if they necessarily get a lot better up under him. And then you look at Dayball. We all know Dayball wanted Tua from the jump. So how helpful was he in Jalen's development as well?
Yeah. In all things, it's hard to say. You don't know. You really don't know. So I agree with you in that sense, but I do think it's interesting that his response is what I love, because if you go back and look at that post, he goes on to say, God is always in control, just never lose faith. He has another one that says faith and patience. He has one from when he was at Oklahoma that says something to the effect of built to handle the storm, and conquer that. So it was him moving through it the right way. And that's what I said yesterday is I can't tell you that you're gonna get a chance to get benched and come back and play and get a redemption game against the team you got benched again. But I can tell you that uh, you never win if you quit. And the only chance you have is ultimately being successful is to stay in the fight. The power of perseverance, and Jalen Hurts is an example of that. Other topics we can get to. G League versus NIL was something we talked about yesterday. I mean, that we mentioned as a potential topic. X, I'd like to get your thoughts on that. The two-edged sword of the portal. Is the portal good, bad, and different? Is it how you use the portal? Are coaches talking out of both sides of their mouth? Spring practice with the 8A game coming up. Listen to a caller that was on the game with Ryan Fowler, who doesn't like my show because I talk like a pastor on my show, and not from the experience because I talk a lot. He said, I said, well, that's what a host does if they don't have callers, but he did bring up a good point. He said that he don't think that running or balanced offense or running it more is the way to go for college football. We'll get your thoughts there. Also, of course, we have recruiting with Hank South X in a moment, and then the other part is when you look at spring games, what's your big concern? Nick Saban shared you were able to go to the Elephant Club meeting, and Nick Saban shared a concern about one position group development. And we can start there in terms of what he said. And he didn't say anything specifically about the coach, but he did say something about the defensive line and wanting to get more out of that group. Any direction you want to spin things off with, or you want me to take the lead on it?
Hey, whatever you got, I'm ready.
All right. Let's hit the G League real quick in this segment, and then we'll circle back. Alabama reportedly lost a potential commitment, not a commitment, to the G League. As Dink Pate made his announcement to reclassify for 2023 and signed a 2-year contract with NBA's G League. Ignite. I didn't get any numbers or numbers were disclosed, but will NIL become with deals like this? Will the NIL become a huge major factor in how NCAA basketball is able to compete for the top players coming out of high school?
Yes, I think it will. I think it's going to be something that you see where especially now. I mean, the G League being an option and a route for high school players is fairly new as well. And I think you're going to see a lot more guys weigh that option between college and the G League. You know, you had LaMelo Ball and back in the day, Brandon Jennings. Instead of going to college, they went and played overseas somewhere. So I mean, there's multiple options for basketball that really kind of differs from every other sport when it comes to the path to the NBA. So I think the NIL will help keep some guys who still want the college experience, but you're going to have the guys that just want to go ahead and move like a pro, act like a pro from day one once they graduate high school.
Yeah, I think Eight and I talked a little bit and said may not like school. The reality of it is the one and done is a joke in college because think about how much school do they really get? I mean, I like Brandon Miller. I think he's a great young man, but how much school do you think Brandon Miller actually got?
A semester,
A semester.
all semester to be eligible to play in the spring. I think that's what a lot of these one and done guys do that are guaranteed locked one and dones. They pay attention, focus, get their grades for the first semester, and then honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if a lot of these guys don't go to class at all second semester because they know they're leaving before the semester ends anyway.
Yeah, I would love to see Aiden. If we could do some reconnaissance work, I would love to see what's the class that first semester of classes. I don't know if college now has like you have to take this many core courses versus electives, and you know when we were playing, you had to have 12 hours. Uh, you know. To semester to be eligible. There were so many classes.
It's still the same.
It's still 12 a semester.
It's still 12 a semester, but it doesn't matter what course you take. Baseball statistics is a course at this university that would count as 3 of your 12 credit hours.
Yeah. A little independent study here, there. Yeah, I was saying so. It's really a joke. But back to the NIL thing, can Nate Oates and others out there, can they get enough support around NIL and basketball that because that's going to be, I think it's going to become more and more of a factor as we move forward. I think you're going to see more and more guys until the statistics and Aiden. I don't know if you have or seen anything. I really wonder which path has led to the best results. There's the LaMelo Ball scenario and a couple other guys. There's the young man that went and did an internship. Now his was brilliant. He did an internship with I think Nike and made like $1 million a year, and he wasn't playing basketball or college hoops overseas or college hoops, and he got like an internship or college basketball for 1 year. Which one of those is producing the best results? But I think until you figure it out one way or the other, because I think the G League, to me, which one you think is easier to get to the NBA from? Is it the G League or is it from college, being a dominant player in college?
Well, if you look at the 3 projected guys in this year's NBA draft, it's Victor Wembanyama, overseas guy, Scoot Henderson, G League, Brandon Miller, college. So the top 3 guys are all 3 different routes to the NBA, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah,
that you have that.
Now is Stu a 19-year-old? I don't know him. I mean,
Scoot Henderson would have was a part of the 2022 class.
So he would have been a freshman this year. Okay.
Victor is 19 or 20 as well.
Yeah, they're all the same age, I thought, but they just all took different paths. That's going to be interesting to see because that's going to become the battle of which one of those gets me there the most consistently. Just on the surface, which one do you think probably is the best path?
Oh, man, see, that's tough. Because I haven't seen enough of the guys do the G League thing yet.
You haven't what?
I haven't seen enough of the guys do the G League route.
You haven't what? And that's my point. You haven't seen enough. I think just exposure as a whole. No, don't get me wrong. The coaches are looking at it, but they're not sure because it's a new way to evaluate. In other words, they've been evaluating kids coming out of college for a long time, and they've been evaluating overseas guys. I think if you're looking at which guy's going to go, if you're good in international, you're going to go in front of a college kid and a G League kid because you're playing against professionals, older men and stuff like that. But it'll be interesting to watch the G League in NFL. NBA, G League, and college. But I think the NIL will become mission critical because if I can give you money to come and play college ball and you still can get to the path of getting there and you can grow and develop a little bit while doing it, it'll be interesting. And, Alabama kind of has an inside scoop. They'll have a guy that'll be able to tell us at some point if Aiden, if you ever get a chance to go into a press conference or any of our guys are at a press conference with Pennon, we need to ask him the question, which way did the Pelicans lean? Did they lean more toward a G League guy, which he coached, and now he's coaching college guys as well? Be an interesting thought, interesting question there. So anyway, coming back on the other side, we'll talk a little bit about the portal. We can talk a little bit about spring practice, balanced attack. Will it work to get to a national championship? Nick Saban on another show yesterday saying his favorite book is something like End of the World, How Civilizations Rebound or something like that. But his whole point was he left it's interesting thought because it's all about how civilizations come to an end and someone takes it away or someone takes it away from them. And they asked him the question about, is that what's happened? Will that be a lesson for your team? And he said, yeah, it's been another team that took it away from us the last couple of years. We're going to see if we can get it back. So we'll talk about how can Nick Saban get it back right here on the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier.
I-100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, no active wrecks. Traffic pretty quiet around the area. If you see conditions this morning folks need to hear about, just give me a call. 205-886-8886. Townsend Nissan is paying top dollar for your current car, truck, or SUV because values are at an all-time high. The Save-a-thon is underway and BJ's making deals. Go see him. I'm Captain Ray.
The Tuscaloosa Mayor's Cup 5K for pre-K will be April 29th at 8 a.m. in downtown Tuscaloosa. For more information or to register, go to TuscaloosaMayorsCup.com. That's www.TuscaloosaMayorsCup.com.
It's the Tuscaloosa Community Calendar, powered by Pepsi.
Be sure to join Relay for Life on Friday evening, April 28th at Central High School. Our community is really coming together as one to raise funds for the American Cancer Society. That means greater advancements in medicine that can help save lives. Support 24/7 by phone, video chat, or online. Even advocating to make cancer a top priority for our local and state governments. It celebrates people who have been touched by cancer, remembers loved ones lost, and gives everyone the chance to take action for life-saving change. For more, visit relayforlife.org.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Another warm, dry day today with a good supply of sunshine, the high 86. Fair tonight, the low 58. Tomorrow, partially sunny with a high at 82. Rain arrives tomorrow night, then for Saturday, rain ending early in the day, becoming mostly sunny, the high 72. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 51 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
You've probably seen their clothing around town on game days, but check out Christopher Mobley on the Strip. It's luxury game day apparel redefined. It's the only place in town where you can find Todd Hoops apparel, clothing designed for the modern day entrepreneur, golf enthusiast, and athleisure fanatic. They've got Peter Millar, Fiore, Grayson, and Mizzen and Main. And if you haven't tried the Mizzen and Main dress shirts, you've got to. You can find them at 1410 University Boulevard on the Strip. Also, they've got a great e-commerce site at ChristopherMobley.shop. So check out Christopher Mobley, luxury game day apparel redefined.
From our home base right here in Birmingham, Alabama.
We are here treating patients from every generation
across the United States
and from around the world.
As respected industry leaders,
we are here
working hard for you in an effort to provide you with
excellence in sports medicine,
excellence in research and education,
and excellence in sports injury prevention.
We are here for you, aggressively pursuing victory over injury.
Learn more at andrewsportsmedicine.com.
Scott Smith and Softmark Design, doing business for 17 plus years, specializing in graphic design services, commercial printing, promotional products, advertising specialties, and so much more. Basically, any and everything you would need to advertise, promote, and grow your business. Through strong partnerships, strong customer service, and creative ideas, they'll help you market and grow your business. Give Scott a call at 205-292-4680 or email scottis@comcast.net and visit them online at softmarkdesign.com.
The sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team. The Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back in to the Martin Houston Show. Go to alabama1.org, alabama1.org, and find out more about what we have going on with our great promotions there. We have our small wreck vehicle promotion going on. You can get up to 60 days, no pay, great terms and rates. That promotion is still in full swing. Also, our credit card promotion, spend to win. If you get that card, go out and use it. Every time you swipe it, tap it, or chip it, you get an entry to win $500 a week. And if you don't have the Alabama One card, we have great rates starting as low as 12.99. You can get that card and you'll get $500 opportunity to win $500 if you get that card today. Plus, once you start spending to win, you'll get entered that way as well. So we're giving away $2,500 a month through Alabama One, and we'd like to make you a winner, but you have to have the card to win. Alabama One together. What's your one? All right. X, as we were going to break there, Saban talked a little bit about Georgia having taken it, and he's going to take it back. That's the message I think he's telling his team. Someone has taken our program, our place as the top program. What are your thoughts in terms of whether or not Alabama can get there via the run game focus or having a balanced attack?
I think if you look at when Alabama was extremely successful and dominating college football, without a question, it was balanced. It might have been even a little run heavy. You know, it was defense, run the ball, and be able to throw the ball successfully when you need it to. And I think Alabama can get back to that. I mean, you look at how Georgia's dominated the last couple of years has been with defense, running the ball, and being able to throw the ball successfully when you need to. And where did Kirby learn that? He learned it at Alabama. So there's no reason why Alabama can't get back to that standard when they were the ones that set it to begin with.
Yeah. What are your thoughts in terms of the people who say you can't win with a balanced attack? I want someone to tell me a team that has won without a balanced attack. Name a team. Name a team that has won without a balanced attack. Huh?
maybe LSU.
But see, that's a misstatement because balanced is not statistical. X. Who got drafted off of that team?
The guy who can't get on the field now. Edwards-Helaire.
Yeah, I mean, Edwards-Helaire was also one of the guys drafted. In what round?
The first
round as a running back. Even though he was on this team with three first rounders, in terms of Burrows and the two wide receivers, but he was still a first rounder as well. And how many years did he start? One. So they were balanced. And I always get tickled when people say, well, you can't score enough points with Nick Saban isn't saying I want to run the ball 60% of the time and 40% of the time, pass it 40. He's saying he wants to be balanced, which means that you dominate what you do. You decide whether you do it. You figure out based on game plan and the way they play you, which style you're gonna use, and you can execute both of them equally. So Georgia was able to do that the last couple of years and got better at it as they went along. So I always tickle when people say, "Well, you just can't score enough points if you don't have a high-powered fast." And actually, LSU was high-powered, but they were balanced. So you can go fast and score a lot of points. But let's say you're not a team that's going to score a lot of points, X. Why does that style still potentially help you?
It's ball control. I mean, if you're keeping the other team's offense on the sideline, it doesn't matter if you don't have to score a ton of points when their offense doesn't have the ball.
Did we watch in the Super Bowl, Aiden? Did we watch what we're talking about here? Did we watch how how you could beat a high-powered offense if you have the right style offense and the right balance?
Maybe. I don't know. I don't think really either of those defenses could get a stop. I think it just came down to who had the ball last.
Yeah. Well, in the first half, the Eagles defense did get some stops. They had them on the ropes. The only time I think the Eagles lost the game when was it fourth down or something, and they ran Jalen on some crazy play or something. I can't remember. Ran a quarterback pitch or I can't remember what they did. I'm like, what? It was when they had fourth and an inch, and they messed up and then it was 4th and 5 or something like that, 5 and an inch. And that changed the game. But my point was, you say you don't know. How did the Eagles keep the game close? How long was Patrick Mahomes on the sideline at times? If it didn't matter how dominant your offense is, if they're on the sideline. And the Eagles did that. They took that team and Andy, and don't forget, how did they get a couple quick scores? How did the Chiefs get a couple quick scores in that game?
Special teams.
It was special teams. It was not their offense didn't drive it down the field every time. They just got help with, of course, it's all football, run game, special teams, offense and defense. But to the point of you can still score enough points to beat teams if your special teams and your defense comes along. And that's what Georgia has had. X?
No, I agree with that. And I think that's what Coach Saban wants to get back to. Like I said, when Alabama dominated college football, truly dominated from 2009 to 2015, winning 4 national championships, it was dominant defense, dominant offense, and good special teams. And when one of those were off, Alabama lost. I mean, you look at the LSU game in 2011. You look at the 2013 Kick Six game. When something was off, that's when Alabama got beat. But that was rare and far in between. But those were the issues that you're talking about when one part of the game failed.
I want someone to call me and tell me we're getting ready to go to break and get Hank South on for some recruiting. I want someone to call me and tell me when the following has not won. Balanced offense where you could run and pass. You may still be a high scoring team, but you were balanced in you could do both extremely well. You were not just one. You were not a one trick pony, and you had a great defense. And special teams didn't blow it for me. I want someone to call me up and give me a team. And I'm not saying they don't exist. I believe the same thing has always won football. Always won football. When Alabama lost to Clemson, what did they bring to the table? When they beat us like we stole something, they came in with a pass game, with a freshman quarterback, but what did they have? They had a good running game, and they had a great defense. When Georgia's won, what did they win with? When Alabama's won, what did we win with? When we've had great offenses, show me our national championship when we didn't have a run game and a pass game. And a great defense. Show me the championship when we didn't have that equation. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but show me that unicorn. Come back on the other side. We'll have Hank South, 247 Sports, Bama Online Recruiting.
This is a Town Square Media Tide 100.9 Sports Update.
I'm Kim Rankin with your Tide Sports Update. Former Alabama quarterback Jalen Hurts has signed a 5-year, $255 million contract extension with the Philadelphia Eagles, making him the highest paid player in NFL history. Alabama tight end Elijah Brown has entered the transfer portal. The Alabama softball team ranked number 13 in this week's D1 softball rankings.
This has been a Town Square Media Tide 100.9 Sports Update. For more info on these stories and more, download the Tide 100.9 app.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, no active wrecks, traffic pretty quiet around the area. If you see conditions this morning folks need to hear about, just give me a call, 205-886-8886. Townsend Nissan is paying top dollar for your current car, truck, or SUV because values are at an all-time high. The Save-a-thon is underway and BJ's making deals. Go see him. I'm Captain Ray.
Hey, DC here to remind you about Mez Reno. Mez wins. He recently rode a bull in the rodeo, and he won't take any bull from the insurance companies either. He's represented my family, and I can't say enough good stuff about the Mez Reno law firm. Let him win for you. Mez wins at 205-800-8000. 800-8000. Let Mez Reno fight for you. 800-8000. Stephen Mez Reno.
From our home base in Birmingham, Alabama, we are here treating patients from every generation across the United States and from around the world. We're here for the rookies and the dreamers trying to make a name for themselves. We are here for the achievers
who are resilient
and won't take no for an answer. We're here for the coaches,
athletic trainers, and mentors who are shaping the next generation of legends. We are here for you,
aggressively pursuing victory over injury.
Learn more at andrewsportsmedicine.com.
The universal truth of women's shoes. The cuter they are, the more they hurt.
You have to put your best foot forward, and if your best foot is an ugly shoe, oh my goodness.
Lise Ann thought she had to choose between looking good and feeling good until she got fitted for arch supports at the Good Feet store.
Now I can wear the shoes that I've picked out because I like the way they look, not because they were comfortable.
Good Feet relieved her pain and her fashion dilemma. Stop by or schedule your free fitting at goodfeet.com.
Find your local Tuscaloosa Tuscaloosa Good Feet store in the Midtown Village. Comedian LP is hosting a March of Dimes We Come a Dime a Dozen comedy show on Saturday, April 29th at Shindig, hosted by Sumter County comedian. Doors open at 6 and the show kicks off at 7. Admission is free, but donations are appreciated to help the March of Dimes. Comedian LP is hosting a March of Dimes We Come a Dime a Dozen comedy show on Saturday, April 29th at Shindig, hosted by Sumter County comedian. Doors open at 6 and the show kicks off at 7. For the full lineup, head over to the Facebook page for comedian Lamar Pullum.
Interact with the Martin Houston Show by calling us at 205-342-9904 or tuning into the Martin Houston Show on Facebook.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. It's now time for our weekly catch up with Hank South 247 Sports, Bama Online Recruiting. Good morning, Hank. How are you?
Hey, good morning, Martin. I'm good. How are you?
Doing well, doing well. I'll toss it to Xavier to kick things off.
Hey, Hank, how you doing this morning?
Hey, I'm good, man. How are you?
Doing good. So, of course, we've been leading up to A-Day, have a ton of visits coming up. Can you talk about some of the guys that we expect to see here Saturday?
Yeah, it's expected to be a pretty loaded event as always. Obviously, you know, most of the Alabama commitments that are in the classes in 2024, 2025 are expected in. Big one being Julian Sayin coming out from California. He was already on campus last month, but obviously said he was going to come back for A-Day. He's expected in. Jalen Bachway, Perry Thompson, Ryan Williams, Mason Short, Dontrell Glover. So those guys are all expected in. But in terms of the guys that are uncommitted or at least not committed to Alabama, there's a handful of big names. DeMarcus Riddick, the 5-star linebacker that's committed to Georgia, he's expected to make what will be his third visit of the year to Tuscaloosa for A-Day. So that's obviously a really big one. Then a handful of 4-star guys like Jeremiah Beeman, who's a big-time defensive line target from Birmingham at Parker High School. He's planning to make it over. Jaden Riddell, who's one of the top tight ends in the country from Missouri, he's planning to make a trip down. And an interesting one, Jordan Seaton, he's a 4-star interior offensive lineman. He just transferred to IMG Academy. He's from Washington, D.C. Now he's at IMG Academy, but he's planning on making it over. He was supposed to visit earlier this year, but ended up going to Georgia instead. So now he's going to take his trip this weekend. But and then another big in-state one is Jordan Ross as well, who's a 5-star edge rusher from Vestavia Hills. He's going to make his second visit of the spring. So big ones in 2024. But beyond that, I mean, the 2025 list it's like 7 5-stars right now. It could probably still grow before Saturday. David Sanders, who's the number 1 player in the country, the offensive tackle from Charlotte, North Carolina, he's planning on making it over. A couple other 5-star Georgia commits, Michael DeBose from Mobile, the 5-star offensive tackle, and then Jaden Perlow, the 5-star linebacker from Buford. Both those guys are committed to Georgia. They're both planning on making it over. Jared Smith, one of the top players in the country for the class of 2025, the edge rusher from Spain Park, he's planning on coming in. So it's really, I mean, if all these guys show up, this is obviously the most loaded weekend of the year so far in terms of recruiting visits.
Awesome. And speaking of some of the 2024 class, just got a commitment from Rico Scott, a wide receiver out of Pennsylvania. What's something that he brings to the table, as well as 2 guys that I haven't heard a lot of news around. You mentioned Jordan Ross, but also Cam Coleman, that are both in-state guys. What's the word with them?
Yeah. So Rico Scott, committed to Alabama following his visit last weekend. And you know, a lot of people haven't really heard his name much, but he was a guy they really liked. He camped last summer, so they've seen him in action in person, and obviously had a really strong junior season as well. But what he brings to the table is just speed, you know, route running ability, strong hands. He clocked in the 4.4s at Bama's camp last summer, and that kind of speed's pretty evident on this tape too. If you watch his film. But really impressive prospect. You know, he had a lot of interest. He was being recruited by Penn State, Georgia, Clemson, bunch of others. But you know, he visited Bama last weekend, and he was planning on making a commitment in the summer. But he decided to go ahead and you know, pull the trigger and announce now. I asked him, you know, why now, and he was saying that, you know, he was just talking to the players, and you know, they were telling him, you know, how good of a decision it was for themselves to come to Bama, and he said it just clicked, and he decided to commit. So. Big time pickup. That's a pretty strong, really strong wide receivers class so far with Rico Scott and obviously Perry Thompson on board at this point in the cycle. But yeah, big pickup there. And then you were asking about Cam Coleman. That's an interesting one. We're still, you know, checking to see if he's going to try to make it up for A-Day this weekend. He's been visiting Auburn a lot lately. And he's visited a lot of places, or, you know, he has a lot of interest. Obviously for good reason. He was at Texas A&M, I think, last weekend. But 5-star wide receiver from Phoenix City, Central High School in Phoenix City. The last time we caught up with him in depth, I think it was the Under Armour camp 2 month and a half ago. And he was saying all great things about Alabama. He said he was, you know, building a really strong relationship with the staff. He really liked what he was hearing from them. Kind of gone a little quiet since then, in terms of Alabama at least. I'm not positive if he's been back. I don't think he has. So if he does get out of the A-Day, that would be a big visit. But I think when it comes down to it, it's probably going to be, you know, an Auburn-Alabama kind of battle here for him to try to get him. And obviously, you know, Central High School is pretty close to Auburn. So, you know, they get guys there, but, you know, Bama's gotten guys there before as well. You know, Javion Cohen, Markel Benton, and others. So certainly a guy Bama has high interest in, and we'll see, you know, kind of what unfolds with him as we go forward.
All right. Hey, Hank, we've got Pat in on the Alabama One hotline that wants to ask you a question. Pat, you're joining Hank South at 247 Sports and Bama Online Recruiting. How you doing this morning?
Good morning. Good morning, fellas. Got 2 players, one offense, one defense. Ryan Wingo out of St. Louis, Missouri, 5-star wide receiver that's awful thick, and a fellow by the name of Dominic McKinley out of Arcadia, Lafayette, Louisiana. And hey, he's a grown man playing defensive line. What do you think about those 2? They do seem to have interest in Alabama.
Yeah, starting with Wingo, he's obviously a really talented kid. He's a 5-star recruit. Believe it or not, I'm not sure Bama's really pushing hard for him yet. You know, it might be a situation where they want to see him at camp this summer. Definitely, I mean, there's interest, but you know, I don't know if you know, I wouldn't classify him as a top target just yet. And I know that's weird. You look at his ranking, you're like, why not? I just think they want to see a little bit more from him. Maybe, you know, that their opinion changes, you know, come eval period when the coaches get out on the road. They're going to go obviously be there and see him in spring practice and everything, and, you know, probably hope to get him down for camp. But at this point in time, I wouldn't say he's a top target, but definitely, you know, someone to keep in your back pocket in terms of wide receiver targets. I think Georgia's trending on the crystal ball right now. Missouri too's in there. So we'll see if, you know, that changes in the next few months. But Dominique McKinley, different story. I think he is a very big target, obviously, literally and figuratively. Offensive defensive lineman from Louisiana. He's kind of blown up this spring. Bama's in on him. Obviously, you know, LSU is, I think, the popular pick to keep him home. But, you know, I think he's a guy that's taking a real hard look at Alabama. I know Oklahoma and Texas A&M are in it as well. And obviously, Bama recruits Louisiana very well, too. So, you know, I don't believe he's anywhere like close to a decision or anything. I think he's setting up official visits and kind of sorting through everything. But definitely a top defensive line target to watch right now.
Okay. All right. Appreciate it. Thank you, fellas. Y'all have a blessed day.
All right. Thanks, Pat.
Pat.
You're listening to Hank South 247 Sports Bama Online Recruiting. Best follow in recruiting at Hank South 247. Hank, I have a question kind of regarding the portal. Is interesting. The portal opened, last weekend, while some games spring games have happened, others are in the midst of happening. But guys are jumping in the portal already. Alabama's already had 3 that we know of go even before the A-Day game. Are you hearing anything from whether Alabama's in on any guys out there? Will Alabama potentially be bringing in any guys from what you're hearing out in the transfer portal world?
I have not heard connection yet. I think Bama was still working on, getting down to 85. So there was going to need to be a little bit of attrition. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was like an 88 or maybe 89. I could be wrong, but so there was going to be attrition. I haven't heard of Bama looking at anybody just yet. There's this like wild rumor going around right now on message boards about, I think a Miami message board said that there's like a connection between Tyler Van Dyke and Alabama. I feel like that's more of a Miami fan trying to pump up Tyler Van Dyke a little bit, maybe the quarterback. And I'm not saying, I'm just talking about a massive message board rumor. I'm not like talking about Bama recruiting anyone. So
well, Feinbaum said that our quarterback situation was so bad. Clickbait, but anyway. Right. That we were going to the portal already, so maybe he's the one that's behind. Maybe he's behind the rumor.
Right? Yeah.
No, that's interesting. You do bring up a great point. We've seen 3 guys go, and people don't think about this. Hank, roster management, I listed as one of the KPIs of what's gonna make Alabama be relevant, and that Nick Saban has to do. And roster management is a new KPI, key performance index. And you said it well. At least 3, maybe 4 guys had to leave this year. Post spring, because we're over our allotted 85.
Right.
X.
Yeah. It's a situation where like it's, back in the day, it's like, if not that a kid would get pushed out, but like if a kid has to go elsewhere, it's like much more advantageous for the student athletes now. I think as labeled as an Alabama transfer, that's going to boost your stock right there, and you can move pretty freely anywhere. So it's not like kids are just getting the raw end of the deal. You're going to end up probably somewhere and be pretty successful.
Yep.
So Hank, I got a question. Just looking a little bit forward at the 2025 class, the last few classes in the state of Alabama have been very special. A lot of talent that is coming out of the state. Is 2025 potentially the best class that you've seen? Like, I've looked at the numbers. The state of Alabama has 6 guys in the top 25, and there's several guys right outside of that number. How deep is that class, and how important is it for Alabama to make sure they keep as many of those guys here in state?
Yeah, it's real deep. It's definitely up there. Especially for being so early. Like, usually we'll see like the rankings really kind of come into form ahead of guys' seniors, like late or mid junior season, or like mid junior year, and then ahead of their senior seasons when ranking. We have a lot of information on these guys. We've seen them in camp, seen them film for a few years. That's what. But these kids are going into their junior. They're only sophomores right now, and it's already pretty evident that these guys are elite guys. We've already mentioned a bunch of them visiting this weekend. Obviously, it all starts with Ryan Williams, who's now ranked the number 3 overall player in the country. Still could end up being too low, but I know if you're comparing it to the NFL draft, I don't think wide receivers go number 1 very often, but he's definitely a top 5 player in the country, no doubt. And now he has that ranking to show it. But beyond him, Zion Grady, the number 1 number one edge rusher in the country, Naeem Offord, who's blown up this spring, number one cornerback in the country, Anquan Fagans, the number one safety in the country, and just, goes down from there. You have to really scroll down to get out of 4-star range with these guys. So, it's very loaded, very impressive in terms of, is it the most loaded ever? We'll see. I know 2023 was pretty stacked. We've seen some of the others in the past. I want to say 2017 was a good one too. But it's important. In-state recruiting is obviously it's always called the lifeblood of the program. You want to keep your guys home when you can. And that's for any program that's recruiting their own state. You want to keep your top guys home, especially when you have easier access to them in terms of proximity. It's easier for their families to come see their games. Usually there's some loyalty growing up between the kids and the home state schools. So definitely, if they fit your program, they're guys you like, you want to keep those guys home. So it'll be important. This class 2024 and 2025 going forward.
And one last question, focusing around on basketball. Jesse McCullough, 6'9", 190-pound center, is committing today, as well as Papa Conte. Heard Nate Oates went out to watch him play as 6'10", 215-pound power forward center in the 2024 class as well. Where's Alabama standing with these two guys?
Yeah, I think Jesse McCullough, he visited in Bama in February, unofficially, 2024. I want to say Michigan State's trending for him. We're obviously going to tune in for his visit to see if that's the case. But if it's not Michigan State, I do think Bama's probably number 2 for him. So, we'll see what he decides today. But not predicting Bama just yet. But, we'll keep an eye on that. And then, Nate Oates is out on the road. Former Michigan signee, Papa Conte. It's a cool name. We haven't caught up with him yet on that visit, but he's in Connecticut. Obviously, Bama recruits the Northeast pretty well with Nate Oates' Buffalo ties. We see a lot of their guys have ties up to either New York or that New England area. So we'll see. If Bama made a move there, I don't know yet, but obviously Bama did see him. So definitely, there's some of my interest.
Yeah, Hank, just kind of following up on that question, you mentioned a couple guys, former commits. Ironically, several 5-stars supposedly getting let out of their NLIs. You have to be careful now. You used to just be able to say NLIs and everybody didn't get it mixed up, but National Letter of Intent. Is Bama in on any of the other guys that have gotten out of their National Letter of Intent?
I haven't heard that yet. I know the Duke kid got out of his, and I want to say there was a USC one as well. I need to pull up the list of the names. I forget the names. I'm so dialed in on football sometimes. But they have there's a bunch of transfers that are, or not bunch, but there's 3 transfers that I think maybe they're again, it's probably hard to kind of juggle, how many spots are you going to actually have with these NBA guys that are testing the waters, you're working on the transfer portal. So probably can't push too hard to add too many guys because you're not sure what spots are going to be available. But there's a big visit today from Latrell Wrightsell. He starts today, goes through Saturday. He's the Cal State Fullerton guard that's visiting Bama. And then they have 2 others that they've been recruiting: Aaron Estrada, the guard from Hofstra, transfer guard from Hofstra, and then BJ Mack, who's the forward from Wofford. So I think there could be a situation where it's like, let's play these things, let's let these things play out, see where we're at, and then if there are guys still available, maybe go there. But again, that roster management's probably pretty tricky with guys testing the NBA draft waters and just not really knowing exactly. I mean, I'm sure they know more. Obviously, they know more than we do, but still, trying to recruit, but also be mindful of, if you're going to have guys come back or not.
Right. Thanks.
Hey, Hank, we appreciate you always coming in and giving us the info that we need to know when it comes to recruiting every Thursday. Let everybody know where they can find you.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. BamaOnline.com, and then my Twitter handle is @HankSouth247. So lots of content. Obviously, A-Day recruiting. It's going to be a big weekend, so definitely a good time to check it out.
All right. Thanks, Hank. Hank South 247 Sports, Bama online recruiting. He'll be back with us next Thursday. Get your questions ready, and we'll add it to the conversation. All right, X, we're going to go ahead and wrap things up a little early this morning. Any closing thoughts from prior conversation or anything regarding what you want to hit on tomorrow?
Oh yeah, hey, I'm actually ready to break down this 8A game that is going to be Saturday. Talk a little more in depth about some of these position battles that we're hearing and seeing, and get some clarity on this 2023 football team.
All right, we'll try to look at spring awards. We won't have enough time to get to all of them, but we'll look at spring awards, who we may pick as the candidates for those spring awards. Also, Nick Saban, what's his biggest concern? He shared a little bit in the Red Elephant Club. It's coming out that he has some concerns on the defensive line development, and that's an area of improvement. What else is his concern for the spring game? And also, can we get back to the mountaintop with a balanced run attack? And is Tommy Reese the guy to take us there? Will we get our first glimpse on on Saturday? Not sure. But either way, we'll definitely be here to talk about it on tomorrow. Also, want to let you know that be doing a special with DC Capstone Report on tomorrow at 1:00. So make plans to follow that as well. Thanks, X. Great segment there with Hank South, 247 Sports Bama Online Recruiting. Thanks to all our callers, listeners, viewers, and chatters. That's Xavier Houston. I'm Martin Houston. That's Aiden Dollins. And remember this, trust in the Lord always. Lean not your own understanding. All your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. Roll Tide out there, everybody.
Thank you for listening to the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9